Brazilian driver Alex Ribeiro participated in 20 Grand Prix in the late 1970s, mainly for Max Mosley's March team, who sadly could no longer provide their 4 drivers with a competitive machine. Ribeiro's F1 days were soon gone, but his motorsport career continued through his own team. As a devout Christian, Ribeiro emblazoned all his cars with the words "Jesus saves" in what would become an emblematic design. After he quit racing, he went on to write several books, become a motivational speaker and pastor for the Brazilian national football team, guiding their faiths during 5 World Cups, including their 1994 win. Ribeiro came back to Formula One as the official chaplain in 1999, as well as driving the medical car for several seasons.
No, he's a man of faith.
Some might remember his unfortunate accident during warm-up for the 2002 Brazilian Grand Prix. Whilst attending to Enrique Bernaldi in his crashed Arrows, Ribeiro opened the car door, only for Nick Heidfeld to smash it off its hinges. Thankfully, no one was injured. Ribeiro's guardian angel clearly on duty that day. Jarno Trulli had a long and fruitful career in Formula One, competing at 256 events over 15 seasons from 1997, taking in Minardi, Prost, Jordan, Renault, Toyota and Lotus. Having harvested 11 Formula One podiums throughout a decade, the Italian's finest champagne moment came in 2004, when he won the Monaco Grand Prix from pole position.
Been waiting for so long, and it came the best race in Monaco.
And maybe it gave him a taste for the stuff, because he now co-owns an organic vineyard in his native Abruzzo in Italy. Italian Paolo Barilla drove 9 fairly uneventful races for the Minardi team back in 1989 and 1990, before leaving to join the family business, pasta. As one of the heirs to the vast Barilla pasta empire, as of 2017, he had a net worth of $1.39 billion US. A pretty penny indeed. He now runs the company as co-deputy chairman, together with his brothers Luca and Guido. Mike Thackwell was seen as a maverick talent when he emerged in the late 1970s. After dicing with Nigel Mansell and Alain Prost in Formula 3, the New Zealander became the then youngest driver to qualify for an F1 race when he started the Canadian Grand Prix in 1980, aged just 19. He only entered 2 races in Formula 1, and a few years later, after a heavy crash in Formula 2, he walked away from racing altogether and never looked back. As well as stints as a special needs supply teacher, barman and helicopter pilot in the North Sea oil fields, Thackwell headed to Western Australia with his father in search of gold to mine. With those days now also in the past, he enjoys the company of surfing and books beside the sea in the south of England. Brazilian Pedro Diniz scooped up 10 championship points in a 6-year F1 career, with privateer outfits 40, Ligier, Arrows and Sauber. Diniz has since swapped the track for the tractor. Alongside his wife Tatiana, he operates an organic produce and dairy farm in rural Sao Paulo, specializing in sustainable cultivation. 3 times world champion Nelson Piquet ruffled plenty of feathers in the paddock during his 14-year F1 career, gaining a reputation as a playboy and a practical joker. Yet he took an eminently practical route after Formula One, founding a company that provided mobile data messaging and tracking of customers' trucks by satellite in 1994, which he still presides over. As the son of Grand Prix legend Gilles Villeneuve, Jacques Villeneuve was born into F1 royalty, and the Canadian carved his own place in history in 1997, when he became world champion, still the last title won by a Williams driver. But it wasn't until 2006 that his second career kicked in, that of musician, after he released his first single, Accepterai Tout. Within a year, he'd completed his first album, entitled Private Paradise. His attempt to follow in the footsteps of fellow Canadian Bryan Adams proved less than successful. By the end of 2007, North American CD sales stood at less than 1,000. Thankfully, Villeneuve still had his racing career to fall back on, and is still actively racing and commentating. Jaime Alguersuari was something of an F1 prodigy, becoming the youngest driver to start a Grand Prix at the 2009 Hungarian Grand Prix, at the tender age of 19 years and 125 days. Max Verstappen would eventually take that record from the Spaniard in 2015, by which time Alguersuari was already well on his way to his second career. No spinning on track, just spinning the decks, as he reinvented himself as a DJ and producer known as Squire. As well as playing sets at clubs including Amnesia in Ibiza, his debut album Organic Life topped the iTunes album chart just 5 days after its release. Robert Doornbos held the Dutch end up in Formula One in the early 2000s, graduating from test driver to fully fledged F1 racer with Minardi and Red Bull, and recording 12th place finishes in China and Brazil in 2006. But it was his post-F1 career that raised more than eyebrows. In 2013, he co-founded Kiru, a company involved in the production of high-tech adult toys. A stimulating pursuit indeed. Carlos Reutemann is the second most laureate Argentinian driver after Juan Manuel Fangio, and an institution in his country. He drove for several of the most renowned teams: Brabham, Williams, Lotus and Ferrari, putting together 12 victories and 45 podiums throughout his career, and coming very close to the title. He lost it to Nelson Piquet in 1981 by a single point. After he retired from Formula One in 1982, he started an equally successful career in Argentina's politics. As a popular governor and a senator, he has been considered on several occasions to be a worthy candidate for president. But while he considered running for president in the 2011 Argentine general election, his intuition made him decline to do so.